So I've been on the back end of this online space, watching a lot of content, going through a lot of advice that people are sharing on the internet. And I've noticed one thing. I noticed that the majority of people share advice. They give you advice on the internet, like it's definite. They give you advice without feeling in that there is paradox to life. They give you advice without acknowledging the fact that there is complexity in life. And what that does to a lot of people, it makes a lot of people lost in a sense where they don't really feel like they are doing what they should be doing because the advice that was given to them was in a different context than they are currently experiencing it. So my main goal for coming on the internet to share whatever I'm going to be sharing is I'm trying to bring a balance to most of these things and trying to let you know that context matters a lot in whatever you are going to do. You see, life is very, very complex. Life is not black and white like everybody's trying to tell you. They tell you that if something is not the truth, then it must be a lie. They tell you that if something is not a lie, then it must be the truth. They tell you that the truth is the fact and the fact is the truth. Meanwhile, even the truth itself is subjective. But that's a conversation for another day. Life itself is paradoxical. So when giving advices or when digesting advices, you need to understand that there are certain contexts that went into play that they are not accounting for. And failure to understand that fact is going to be detrimental if you want to apply an advice that does not hold the same context in which you are in right now. Let me give you an example. An example would be to why those things are happening. Online, they'll tell you if you want to make money, you need to work 4 hours a day. Some will tell you need to wake up by 4 a.m. And you see, the funny thing about this thing is it might be wrong, it might be right, but they are not telling you these things to draw you down. They don't have ill intentions. They just don't understand that there is a context that made that advice real. They are obviously or probably ignorant to the fact that context is what makes that advice valuable and effective. So, but they give you this advice. They tell you to wake up 4 a.m. They tell you to read a book every day, but you don't like reading. So you cannot apply that context to your own life. They like reading. They love reading. They read 3 books per month and they tell you to read every day if you want to attain financial success. And you go and you force yourself to read. And before you are done with the first 2 pages of the book, you're already sleeping. It is because for that advice to work for you, even if reading is something you want to force yourself into, there is a context. There is a way you need to apply it for it to work for you. But they are ignorant of that and they leave it out. Not purposely. I don't think it's purposely. To the best of my knowledge. I think they also don't understand the depth that context actually plays. I can give you another example of how complex life is. But you see on social media, and it happens a lot. On social media, you see everybody giving you advice that is definitive, like it's black and white. And it's crazy because one example could be, if I tell you that I murdered someone, it sounds like a bad thing. But if I tell you that the person I murdered raped a little child and killed that child, automatically your brain begins to find justifications for me murdering that person. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are a lot of factors that play into right and wrong, truth and lies than we would like to admit. And unless we consider those factors, we can never truly understand what life itself entails. That is basically the main reason why I came to share my own perspective. But because most of these things you see online are out of ignorance. The same people that tell you ignorance is bliss is the same people that tell you knowledge is power. Those two things sounds like they are countering each other, but they are equally true in their own way. And unless you bring context into it, they both mean nothing. If you read a book and you see that this particular book is telling you to do something, and you go and apply it into your life and you get 0 results, it is not because that book is wrong. It is not because you are dumb or daft. It is not because you didn't pay attention to what they told you to do in the book. It is simply because the context in which the person used that particular advice cannot be applicable or applied in your own life. I read books a lot. So if I read a book, I am not necessarily looking for a framework, a playbook Because what everybody does nowadays is that they give you a playbook without giving you the context in which that playbook works. And no matter how valuable that playbook is, it can never amount to anything when somebody in a different context uses it. And think about it. It works in a lot of people. The same course that 500 people bought, 200 people got crazy results. Why 250 people or 300 people are also struggling to get results? They are wondering, why me? The funny thing is we always turn to religious blames and blame religion and say, is God, it's not yet my time, is this, is that. But the truth is simply that the context that the owner or the author gave to you with that advice is applicable in 200 people's life, but it's not applicable in your life. It's that simple. So when I'm reading books, I try to look for context. Because this context thing happens in everything. It happens in how you learn, how you assimilate things, how you communicate with your environment, and almost literally everything. So when I'm reading books, I don't look for advice. I don't look for, oh, you need to do this, do that, do that. I don't look for a playbook. I specifically look for when so person, which is the author of the book in this context, was doing so thing and facing so challenge, he did certain things that brought him out. But prior to those certain things, he already had knowledge of this. He was from this background. And if you pair those things together that seem like they are nothing, if you pair them together, you discover that they play a very huge role into who he is as a person. When they come and tell you that consistency is everything, there are some people that don't tell you that when you love what you do, consistency is a no-brainer. Now that is a different context. Then there is somebody that tells you that discipline is doing something you hate like you love it. But what they don't tell you is that the hunger and desire that they have for their goal is what drives them to be able to do exactly what they hate, like they love it, basically. And this is the main reason why I thought to share context, because I go through comment section a lot. I'm what you can call a ghost viewer. I watch the content, I go through the comment section, and every time I do, I see people that I feel so sorry for because I know they are definitely going to get lost. They will definitely get lost because they are taking context out of the advice, or they don't know yet that context is a very important factor in the advice that they are receiving. If you are coming along on this journey, there are two things I'm going to ask of you. I want you to be very open-minded, because most of the things I'm going to tell you are things that will attack your belief. They are things that will go against everything you've dared to know or acquired in form of knowledge. And number two is I would want you and I would beg you to make sure that while coming with an open mind, you are willing to go deep on your own to process every video that you watch. Because I don't want people that are looking for a playbook, that are looking for a hero kind of person to just follow around. I want you to watch every video and go back and actually sit down and regurgitate every thought and make sure that every point that I make or I'm going to be making applies to every or the aspects that they do apply to in your life. That is simply all I'm asking there. Those are the two things I'm going to ask. One, be open-minded. Two, I need you to have your own mind. I need you to come to this with your intellect and come and, dissect these topics together. My name is Abraham Bamidele, and you will be seeing more of me on here. Cheers.